What's up, everybody? I am Rick Knight. Welcome to another video here at The Bad Philosopher. Today I would like to talk about the gender pronoun issue. I know once again I'm late to the party, but it's a new channel, so I have to go through all the different social issues that we have. Today I would like to discuss the issue, or my issue with gender pronouns. Now, before I get into that, what I would like to do is I would like to eliminate the aspect of homosexuality out of this conversation. If you're gay or straight or whatever you happen to be, that has nothing to do with this issue. This issue is strictly on people who view themselves to be a different gender. Also, while we're here, I'd like to remove people from this conversation who are really suffering with a mental illness, with gender dysphoria, which is classified as a mental disorder in the DSM-5. You can look it up yourself. I'm no expert on the matter. Never claimed to be. I'm not even an amateur when it comes to mental health, so I don't really like to speak about mental health issues. So I'd like to remove people who truly do have a mental health issue, and gender dysphoria happens to be one of them. So I don't want to talk about them. I'm strictly speaking about the people that's a part of the LGBTQ R2D2C3PO community that have this gender pronoun in their little culture, in their little group, or whatever you want to call it, that they don't understand how this is not a real issue. This is a manufactured concept that they've come up with. I think it's silly. I think it's nonsense. I don't think you get to pick your gender. Let's look at it like this. If you and I went for a walk and I pointed people out in the street and asked you to identify their gender, you can only identify them as two different genders, either male or female. So what I'm trying to say is, if you try to pick gender out of a lineup, you can only pick out a male or female. You cannot pick out anything else. So you invented all these other different genders. Now, you don't get to pick your gender. You don't get to pick your identity. Your identity is chosen for you by the individuals in society who will identify you based on their observation of you. So if you said, I call myself a they or a them or a z or a zer, and you're clearly a woman, most members of society will not identify you as anything else other than a woman. So that's another reason. And now look, I mean, you can identify yourself whatever you want. You can identify yourself as a turtle. You can put a shell on your back. You can walk real slow. You can swim. You can do whatever you want to do. But you cannot ask other people to identify you as a turtle when we clearly see you as a human being. And that's pretty much how that works. Now, I don't want this message to come across as me being hateful towards you. This truly is just my way of expressing to you how a lot of people on my side of the argument feels about the pronoun issue, the gender pronoun issue. There's a lot of people in the Democratic Party on your side of the aisle who also disagrees with you, but they most likely will keep it to themselves because they don't want to cause any kind of outrage, especially if they're in political office. They don't want to lose office. If they're on the media, they don't want to lose their job. There's a lot of people who don't agree with it, and they don't stand up and say anything. When we stand up and say something, we're called bigots. We're white supremacists, we're Nazis, we're all these crazy things because we don't agree with this concept that you guys invented. I think this idea of yours is strictly political. I think you're doing this for a political reason. I think you're doing this because maybe you just want to be different. Maybe you think you found a cause that you can fight for. I don't think this is legitimate. I don't think that you legitimately feel that you are a different gender. I think this is almost like a spiteful behavior of a child that you're doing. Again, not to be confused with members of the gay with the members of the gay community. This has nothing to do with your sexuality. If you really do suffer from a mental illness and gender dysphoria is one of them, I'm not speaking to you. I want to push that off to the side. I'm strictly speaking to these young to this younger generation that appears to not have mental illness, and they just want to change their gender because they don't feel like they're really a boy or a girl or whatever society says they are. They don't want to go with that. They don't want to follow the norms of our society. They want to be different. You can want to be as different as possible, but you still cannot help how others will view you. That is our choice, our decision. And you actually, not knowing this, but you actually agree with me. And the reason why I say this is because you have something that you say within your community where to the public you say, well, if you don't know, don't be embarrassed or ashamed if you misgender us. When you meet us, it's not a big deal. We'll just tell you what we are and then we'll move on, or just ask us and we'll tell you exactly what our gender is. So, and it's not a problem. So that alone tells you that even you understand that we don't know what your gender is other than male and female. We don't know what these other ones are. We don't know how, we cannot identify it because it is a made-up concept. So, I mean, the only advice I can give to you guys, if you want to make your position stronger, then you would really think about why you're doing what you're doing and if it makes sense. And it honestly, if you see it through my perspective, it doesn't make sense. And what's happening is you're getting a lot of people pushing back against this idea, a lot of people who are not for this, and that's why we have this conflict that we have now. If you do want to continue on with this idea of gender pronouns, you have absolute every right to do so. I will defend your right because that's what this country is about. I believe in the First Amendment. I will die for the First Amendment, and I will die for your right to call yourself whatever gender you want. That is, you know, you should have the liberty to do so. I respect that, and I would fight for that on your behalf. And I respect you as a human being. I don't respect your ideas and your opinions, but I respect you as a person, as a human being. I hope you can respect, you know, me as a person and as a human being, and respect where I'm coming from. You don't have to like my ideas, just like I don't have to like yours. You don't have to respect, you know, my perspective. I don't have to respect yours, but we have to respect each other as human beings. So the best solution for this is, if you want to carry on with this gender pronoun delusion, you can continue to. It's your right to, and you can get in where you fit in. You can do this with people who will respect it and people who will be on board with you on this. But when you come across other people who don't respect this and they don't understand it, or they just think it's silly and they won't feed into it, as long as they're not disrespecting you as a person, you should just allow them to, you know, we should just agree to disagree and still respect each other as human beings is what I'm trying to say. But hopefully you see my point. Hopefully you sit down and you think about it and it makes sense to you and you see what I'm saying. And maybe we can either agree to disagree, or you can drop this self-identification that you have going on for you. That's not, it's just not, I mean, I don't see the logic of the reasoning behind this. So, that's my video. Thank you for tuning in, and peace out.